days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from offseason to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. This is one of the biggest weeks of the season because it's the last week of the season. The 49ers need to win to make sure they clinch a playoff spot, and there is a lot of things that are going on. Kyle Shanahan had a conference call with media members on Monday, and a lot of new revelations have happened. Sorry, got a little tongue-tied there, guys.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'm just excited about this week and the 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams.
And they can't hold anything back.
No,
they can't.
Thanks, Dan.
Hold anything. They can't do it. Look, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to talk about coming out of this game, including players going on to the COVID list, Ant. A little surprising. They had Dante Johnson, K1 Williams, and Raheem Mostert all contracting COVID or testing positive for it at the very least. And so now they're on the COVID list, but due to the new rules and new protocols and the fact that I think all but one player on the 49ers is not vaccinated,
yeah.
You're really not worried about anyone testing positive on the Niners because they got 5 days. They just need to be asymptomatic. And I think as long as it's 5 days and asymptomatic, if you were vaccinated, then you're good.
I didn't catch it. Did you bring up Jimmy Ward as well?
I did not. So Jimmy Ward is also on that list.
Jimmy Ward has been added as well. He's on the COVID list.
Okay.
So it's definitely, hit that secondary room for the 49ers. This is part of the reason that Kyle Shanahan, went to going back to Zoom meetings and that sort of thing. It was inevitable that this was going to happen, that guys were going to get, caught up in the COVID. And it has happened. And you're right. The new rules from the NFL that came out recently, make it so a player can come back. We just seen Mitch Wisnowski go on the COVID list early in the week and then be able to make it back for the game. These guys have the opportunity to come back for the game. You're hoping that they're going to be, reinstated or activated off the COVID list on Saturday. But we'll see. This is going to be an interesting storyline moving forward because that is a big part of your secondary. All three of those guys, were looking to play pivotal roles, not only in your secondary, but also on special teams.
100%. Dante Johnson went in and played, very well after Josh Norman kind of got benched and sat. K1 has been a go-to guy all season long, and it's not the same when he's not there in the slot. And Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt, when those two are together out there on the football field, it's great things for your secondary. Raheem Mostert being on the COVID list is just, a situation. It's there, and he's already on IR and done for the year anyway, so it doesn't really impact you or affect you in any sort of way, other than, he's limited in terms of what he can do around the facility and with guys. So look, hopefully you're able to get all three of those secondary pieces back and good to go, because it would be an absolute shame for this huge week and a must-win situation for the 49ers to get into playoffs. Win and you're in. You're guaranteed a spot if you get in. It would be an absolute shame for us to not have even just one of these three guys out there on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a storyline to pay attention to, because there could be other names that are added to this list throughout the week. You really hope not. And this is going to be something that's going to affect a lot of football teams, even in the playoffs. So this is why the NFL and the NFLPA came up with the rules that they came with the CDC guidelines, for the 5 days. And we're optimistic that these guys are going to be back, and we really do need them, because if they're not playing, that will be a huge disadvantage against this Los Angeles Rams wide receiver room, because Cooper Kupp is an absolute beast, and Odell Beckham Jr. has been coming on as of late.
He definitely has been, Ant. He definitely has been, and they definitely needed that. They needed him to step up in a big way, and Van Jefferson has been elevating in terms of his role and what he's been doing with that team.
I like Van Jefferson.
Big fan. But the Niners also made two other practice squad moves, Ant. Running back Brian Hill was re-signed to the practice squad, and punter Colby Waldman was released from the practice squad. So the Niners went and made those moves as well. Brought in another running back, ensured some depth. I wonder what the reason is for that, why they would re-sign him and bring him back in. Now, you foresee there being a future problem with running backs, or maybe with Trey Sermon?
No, they had him, on the, the active roster for 2 games. They had brought him up from the practice squad position. And so they had to, release him and then bring him back. You want this guy a part of the team just in case something happens, especially with the way COVID is. You can keep, he understands the offense. So you have to have guys on deck that are ready to go. And he's already proven, that he can go in and play on special teams at least. So he's a guy that you can use in a pinch, and you're getting prepared for the playoffs. You have to have guys that understand. They know what he can do already. They've seen him in practice. This is a good signing. Keep him around, keep him available just in case, one of your guys do go down. Then you can use him because he's more versatile. He's a guy that can catch the ball in the backfield and he understands the offense. So he could play third down roles. He could play first and second down. So yeah, this made a lot of sense to go ahead and make sure you bring him back and secure yourself in case somebody else goes down, with COVID, or if somebody goes down with injury against them.
100%. 100%. You have to kind of insulate yourself there and just make sure that you have addressed those things and have those things kind of nailed in. And they've done that. They definitely have. That's why they brought Colby Waldman at the punter position last week, and now you've done it with Brian Hill at the running back position this week. Good for the Niners, making moves, making sure that they're secure there in that spot. But now there's some I don't want to say situations or issues, Ant, but there's definitely some things going on with Jimmy Garoppolo and his throwing hand, and what he's going to need in the offseason in terms of surgery wise. Kyle Shanahan made some comments about they didn't expect him to need surgery, and that he wasn't going to need it. Jimmy's team came out and essentially said that he's going to be getting in the offseason, and then people were like, oh, Kyle said A, Jimmy and his agents are saying B, it's conflict brewing. And then Kyle came out and clarified, no, we just don't expect him to need surgery right now. We think he and him and the team, we believe and he believes he can play through this right now. So surgery is not necessary right now at this moment. Is there more to this? Is there actual dissension and fracturing occurring like some people are suggesting out there in the Twitterverse, Ant? Or is this just the reality that right now Jimmy Garoppolo can play through this? If he gets surgery, he's done for the year. If he waits to get the surgery, he can play through this, try and, get this thing done with this team and get us further into the playoffs and hopefully make a Super Bowl run. Is there fracturing? Is there something else going on? What is this? What is all of this? Do people need to be worried about this, or is this nothing?
There's a couple of things going on. First off, what's going on with, the thoughts on the surgery is, I believe I said this in the reaction show when it came out about what Ian Rappaport was reporting, that Jimmy was going to have, surgery in the offseason, was that when Kyle Shanahan was referring to it, he wasn't going to need surgery to be able to play again this year. That he was going to be able to play without it. And then, he didn't really go into anything in the offseason. But what Jimmy's team is doing, because Jimmy Garoppolo could be a, traded piece or somebody that's available in the offseason, when you're dealing with an injury to the player, you have to make sure that you're a little bit transparent so people understand where, what is going on with it. That is why some things are coming out of the Jimmy Garoppolo camp. They know they have to somewhat get in front of these sort of things because he's either going to be traded or he's going to be cut, and then he's going to be available for other suitors. They're trying to make sure they put their player in the best light, make sure everyone understands, where it's going to be. But this is exactly what happened to Matthew Stafford at the end of 2020. He had the same injury. He played through it. Then he had offseason surgery and was ready to roll. So that's what they're doing. They're getting out in front of this and they're letting everyone know. So this doesn't surprise me that things are starting to come out from the Jimmy Garoppolo camp and getting leaked to like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, and that sort of thing. If Jimmy Garoppolo was secure as the starting quarterback for next season, you would hear none of this stuff because they wouldn't have to prop him up. They wouldn't have to put him in that transparent light. So that way other suitors would know what he was going to be about.
100%. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. That's what's going on right now with this whole thing. It's just, this whole situation is just unfortunate for Jimmy because it happens at this time, this late in the season, and on that throwing hand. It's not fun. It's not fun for him. It's not fun for this team. Definitely not fun for Trey. I mean, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you're not wanting to throw the kid into the fire this late in the year in this sort of situation with not only playoff hopes on the line, but, Super Bowl aspirations. You think this team can get it done. This is why we kept saying that Jimmy was the option right now. The best option right now is because Trey's developing and trying to get there. And we saw it this weekend. There's high moments and low moments, right? That's what you're going to get with a rookie quarterback. You're going to get the highs and lows. So we'll see. We'll see how this happens. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see if this has an impact, further down the road with their relationship or things of that nature. But I'm expecting, if Jimmy's healthy, that Jimmy's playing.
Yeah, I think so. I think from Kyle Shanahan's, the way he's talked is that he said that the pain is something he believes Jimmy can work through.
Yep.
And if Jimmy's going to be able to work through it, that means he's probably going to be able to go out there and play. That's what the key comes down to. If at any point you have to alter the way you throw again, and the ball's going to come out differently out of your hand, then that could put you in some problems. But if he's able to do what he normally does in the same way by just battling through the pain, and he's able to deliver the ball the same way, then you don't have as many concerns because then he's going to deliver the ball the same way. It's just you're dealing with that pain as it happens. But it's when you have to alter to avoid pain that you start having, the mistakes. And I think you saw that there were times when Jimmy Garoppolo was able to gut through it. I think he was trying to throw differently when he threw the ball to Deebo Samuel and it sailed and got picked off. And I think on the last drive, he just gutted through the pain. He just, rolled with it. So now that he got an extra week, he's closer and closer to being where maybe that ligament can reattach, and it'll be a little bit different for him to be able to throw, because it does start to reattach. It will change things a little bit, but also just some of the swelling and some of that stuff goes out of it. The stiffness, which means you're able to actually grip the ball again. What it will look like after the game, though, is a completely different story, and I'm not sure how they're going to be able to manage it. But I think everyone understands what Jimmy Garoppolo brings to this team and what you need at him. You feel comfortable that you got a good backup in Trey, but right now the rookie development is just not all the way there yet. And I think that if Jimmy can go, they're going to give Jimmy a go.
100%. And Kyle talked about the relatching of the ligament and just things being better. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. And he also talked about how they had already finished the film work for this last game with all the guys. And he said, we're putting a game plan together for both Garoppolo and Lance. Stunned, and I'm stunned that he came out and made that comment. I wonder what the Rams are going to start preparing for now. They're going to prepare for both quarterbacks or one quarterback. I wonder. He said hopefully he'll be able to go practice on Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll see what this means for Jimmy Garoppolo this week.
I mean, that's even more pressure for the Rams than it was for the Texans, because I think for the Texans, you kind of had a feeling that it was going to be Trey Lance. And I think the Rams, you're in the back of your mind like, oh, this is going to be Jimmy. But if you prepare for Jimmy and then Trey comes out there, you could be in a lot of trouble. So you do have to spend some time preparing for both. You have to look at film of both guys, and it could change the game drastically. But this is a must win, so you definitely can't hold anything back. You got to go use every weapon and every bullet you have in your chamber, which means we could see both quarterbacks in this.
You very well could, and it could be a week for the Shanda plan. But look, you said must win, and I've seen people saying, is it a must win? Do the Niners need to win? What's the situation in regards to playoffs and everything like that? Currently, the Niners have a 62% chance of making the playoffs, 38% chance for the Saints. San Francisco nearly clinched a berth with the Texans win this Sunday, but they needed the Saints to lose to the Panthers, which obviously didn't happen. So now the Niners are sitting in a situation where if you win this weekend, you get in. You will get in. You play at 125. The Saints also play at 125 on Sunday. However, a loss, you are basically needing the Saints to lose. If you lose the football game, you need the Saints to also lose in order for you to get in. Otherwise, you and the Saints are going to finish tied in a head-to-head situation, which is bad for the 49ers, because if you finish tied with them and they win this game, they will have a game up on you in terms of common opponents, I believe it is, in the NFC. So they'll have common opponent tiebreaker over you, and that will give them the edge heading into playoffs, and they would be the team that slides into the 7th seed, with the Philadelphia Eagles most likely sliding in at the 6th seed. So if you're the Niners, it's win or get in, or lose and need some help. But if you just win and take care of business this Sunday against a team that you have beaten in the last, I think, five straight games that you've played?
Yeah, it's 5 with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm.
5 with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. Then, it's A-okay. The only question will be, is Jimmy Garoppolo playing quarterback?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting topic all week. And let's see how this thing plays out. I don't know exactly what the Rams are feeling, how they're going to play their starters. Are they going in there and trying to play for seeding? Are they trying to make sure that, they're the 2 or the 3? They do not, I don't know, can they reach the Green Bay Packers and get that number 1 seed? I don't think they can. They're a full game behind. So you wonder is at, what point do they decide that they want to kind of scale this thing back, rest some of their starters and get prepared, because they could inevitably play the 49ers the next week. So do you want to go out there and go full go, with all your starters and risk the possibility, of getting somebody hurt, or do you just want to prepare for the playoffs? I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic as the week continues, because there is the grouping together, right? The Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are sitting there at that 2 and 3, the 2 and 3 spot. Yep. Dallas fell a game back with the loss of the Cardinals. They're obviously sitting in that 4 spot, which is probably where they're going to end up. So the Rams, do they want to be in the 2nd seed? If they want to be in the 2nd seed, then they need to beat the 49ers. If they don't really care, if they can fall 2 to 3, then it doesn't matter. But either way, they could end up playing the Niners, which is a scary thing. If they beat the Niners, New Orleans loses, Rams, Niners. If they beat the Niners, if the Niners beat them, the Niners will slide to the 6th seed, and then they'll play them as the 3rd seed. So it looks like it's going to be back-to-back weeks, so that could also play into how they choose to play this game.
100%. The Rams, if there's one thing we know, the Rams are making the playoffs. That's happening. The question for them is do you want to see the Niners again, if that is the case? And if the Niners decide to go Trey Lance, right? If they roll Trey Lance out there, lose and somehow get in, and you still end up having to play the 49ers for
I think they're going to play the Niners no matter what.
Is it no matter what?
Because if they beat the 49ers could fall to 7.
True.
The Rams would secure the 2nd seed in the playoffs.
And they would play
each other.
Yep.
If the 49ers win, they would fall to with the Tampa Bay win, they would fall to the 3rd seed. The 49ers would be the 6th, and they would play the Los Angeles Rams.
Holy cow. Yeah, how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, that is the only way they could avoid is to lose to the 49ers and then hope Tampa Bay loses as well. If that was to happen, then they could sit
beat the 49ers and hope that the Saints win.
Yeah, and hope the Saints win. Yeah, that could be the case as well. And then they could play the Saints in round 1.
Oh, they would love that. Who wouldn't love that?
You would think.
You would think, yeah. I mean, I think that would be their safe play would be to try and beat the Niners. So we'll see. We'll see what route they take.
Or is their safe play to rest
and not give
and prepare for the next week
and not give
against
anything away?
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you start your playoffs a week early, or do you wait and make the 49ers play all out to win this football game,
knowing that you have them again?
You have them again the next week.
Very interesting strategy there, Ant. Very interesting strategy, as Tommy would say. You don't beat teams 3 times in one season. It doesn't typically happen. And he's not wrong. It is very hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, especially 3 times in a division opponent. That is tough. That is really tough. We will see what happens there. But there were some injury updates, Ant. I wasn't expecting to hear injury updates on a Monday. So first off, Trent Williams dealing with an elbow sprain. The team is going to manage it throughout the week. Marcel Harris dealing with a stinger. He's going to be just fine by the time we get to Sunday. But 49ers coaches added that cornerback Emmanuel Mosley and linebacker Dre Greenlaw both have a chance to play in Sunday's regular season finale against the Los Angeles Rams. Shanahan also expects to have defensive lineman Maurice Hurst, wide receiver Mohammed Sanu, and safety Tavon Wilson back at practice on Wednesday. The latter 2 are currently on injury reserve and will need to be activated before that can happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And with you having players on the COVID list, I believe you can bring them back. And then you'll just have to make your decisions on Saturday what you want to do with this roster.
Accurate.
But yeah, it looks like all hands are going to be on deck for this football game. The 49ers are going to go all in on winning. Dre Greenlaw and Emmanuel Mosley, if they're able to, they're 100% playing in this football game. You need those guys to be able to go in there and beat this Rams team. We don't know what we're going to get from the Rams. It could be all out, try to knock the Niners off a week early, or it could be coast and see if you can just get a victory, anyways. Either way it goes, the 49ers are going to have to go all in, everything they got to win this game. Playoffs started for them last week against the Houston Texans. They continue this week against the Los Angeles Rams. But that's good news.
Great news.
That's really good news for the 49ers defense that has been playing fantastic. You add some interior defensive linemen, but also a 4th receiver in Mohammed Sanu, who can get it done. That's a lot better than River Craycraft that you've been rolling with lately.
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
Mohammed Sanu's a better option.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to take very many snaps from Jawan Jennings. I think they're just going to share snaps. Where the person that might, I guess the 4th receiver was actually Trent Sherfield. That's who might lose some snaps is Trent Sherfield.
It's true.
But you notice that when Trey Lance played, Trent Sherfield got more go. They have a chemistry together.
Yeah, they've been spending a lot more time together.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I forgot about Trent Sherfield.
Look, I mean,
apologies. He's definitely the 4th receiver, not River Craig. River Craycraft was fine.
Yeah, River Craycraft is lucky to be on the roster still.
Well, hey, that's who's going to get removed off the roster of Mohammed Sanu.
100%. River Craycraft will be the move.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be gone. You'll bring this guy back into the fold. I'm looking forward to hearing about Trenton Cannon eventually when we eventually hear it, but I imagine it's going to be playoffs by this point.
He might not come back.
You don't think so?
Well, no, because JaMychal Hasty's been doing a pretty good job on the special teams end. And so you just might not bring him back because you can leave him on the IR and you don't have to worry about
roster spot moving people
because
around.
you have another running back in Trey Sermon that is sitting on IR that you need to activate as well
at some point.
Yeah,
true.
So they've got decisions to be made, but I bet you they've been preparing this for a while. They'll be ready to go, but this is good signs for the 49ers as they're getting a lot of players back. As long as these guys are healthy and ready to go, they're going to add big dividends. But Emmanuel Mosley could be walking into a starting job, next to Ambry Thomas, and not
Josh Norman,
not Josh Norman or Dante Johnson.
Well, I know you'd brought this up and you had mentioned it. You mentioned it on the reaction show, and we didn't really talk about it too much in the game recap because we're recapping the game and not talking about hypothetical situations. But this is one that's very intriguing. This whole Josh Norman, there's still not a lot of information going out about this. The benching, the reasons behind the benching, why it happened. Is this a long-term benching or was this just an in-game sort of benching because he did something he shouldn't have done? There hasn't been a lot of conversation on this. But if Emmanuel Mosley comes back this week, yeah, I mean, Ambry Thomas has shown that there's something there. He's getting better and he's improving. Been improving. Definitely looks better than the regular season, or excuse me, the preseason.
Yeah.
In which, he was getting thrown on all the time. Look, have Dante Johnson. You have Josh Norman. If Josh Norman can revert back to being the safety guy, like the guy that if we absolutely have to go back to him, then he's there. I feel much better about the cornerback room. Is that the route we're at? Is that where we are now in the season, where Josh Norman has gone from where we both thought Josh Norman has played good enough, like done enough for this team that we can make the move away from him and have him just be that safety valve guy behind us in case something happens with Ambry, where maybe he regresses in a game or is just not as prepared as you'd like him to be and can't go out and do the things you need him to do, where you can turn back to Josh Norman? Is that where we are?
I think so. I think Ambry Thomas's play has proven that. Now, one of the things that we got to consider is he was playing against the Houston Texans, not exactly bang up, receivers. It's not going to be the Los Angeles Rams, Odell Beckham Jr., and Cooper Kupp. And he had a lot of confidence going against Nico Collins because he's very familiar with Nico Collins.
Accurate.
So those are things that played in his favor. But I do think that he's played himself into a starting job opposite of Emmanuel Mosley. And I think that if the 49ers decide that, I think people also need to remember is that Emmanuel Mosley's benefits to this football team mean you don't have to run two deep safeties the entire game. It means now that one of these safeties can play over the top of the opposite corner because you can go man up with Emmanuel Mosley at times. So it affords you a lot more opportunities. It also allows you to blitz K1 Williams knowing that you have Jimmy Ward to be able to play that slot and take away that positioning. It just frees up so much more possibilities than what you were able to do against Houston Texans. So Emmanuel Mosley is the real key to this thing. And once we get him out there, really who plays opposite of him is almost irrelevant at this point because I think Dante Johnson, Ambry Thomas, or Josh Norman are all going to need safety help from time to time. Of course, Mosley will as well, but you don't have to protect Emmanuel Mosley like you have to protect the other ones. So I think that it will change no matter what with Emmanuel Mosley coming back. But I do like the improvement from Ambry Thomas. And yes, Ambry Thomas in the Houston Texans game outplayed Josh Norman. If you're going off just that, then he deserves to be a starter. But we'll see what the 49ers decide to do opposite of Emmanuel Mosley.
That's going to be the question, man. That will be the big question coming into this game this weekend is if Emmanuel Mosley can go, what are you doing at the cornerback room? And I hope that is it. I hope that's what it is. As much as I like Josh Norman, Ambry has shown me enough in game now, visibly with my eyes, whether it's Brandon Cooks he's going up against, whether it's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I've seen enough from this guy now to go, okay, you've handled yourself pretty well.
Yeah.
Well enough for, I think, everyone here on this podcast, at least anyway, to be like, hey, I'm okay with going out there with putting you out there and letting it go. You're going to lose something in terms of like the peanut punch stuff with Josh Norman, the little things like that. But what you lose in those regards, you're going to get back with size, length, some speed, and a guy who's shown that, you know what, he's only really been beat deep a few times. And it was against the guys who beat him deep were Jamar Chase. I think that was the only guys that
Brandon
beat him
Cooks.
deep. Oh, Brandon Cooks beat him deep once. Although that got called back for a holding.
It did, but he did get beat deep.
He get beat deep.
But
yeah,
he does afford you the opportunity to go man coverage if you need to.
100%.
Because he's longer, he has more length. He's basically Emmanuel Mosley size-wise. Like, they're very, very close to the same size.
Just doesn't have the technique and other things that Emmanuel Mosley
He just hasn't developed there yet. But he could have actually a better skill set, talent-wise, eventually to develop into that. This is what you want to see. This is a player that developed in practice, and now when he got his opportunity, he went and seized that opportunity. It does happen.
He grabbed the brass wing.
He's doing that. Yeah,
wow.
He's playing himself into a start, which is great because we needed this kind of development from the cornerback position. Boy, could he answer a lot of questions for the 49ers defensive back room next year.
100%. You don't have to rely on trying to go out and sign a J.C. Jackson like I've been talking about from the New England Patriots and paying him a lot of money because he is going to get paid 8 interceptions on the year. Someone is going to pay that man a butt ton of money, and it probably won't be Bill Belichick.
And it won't be the 49ers either.
Probably not at this point with Ambry Thomas playing the way he's playing right now.
Well, and you could also go with a cheaper version in Jason Verrett.
True.
You have the injury concerns and stuff, but
you got Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas. Who cares?
The 49ers don't value the cornerback position enough to sign a high-priced free agent when they would just draft, and try to develop. and they've proven that they can draft and develop linebackers, cornerbacks, and defensive linemen. You want that top end talent.
Is there
whenever
a
you can get
position?
it.
Hold on, is there a position on defense that they haven't drafted and developed?
I mean, no. I mean, I guess you could say safety because Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt were pre, the Kyle Shanahan era. They were here before.
I guess.
So I think
Talanoa Hufanga's developed pretty nicely.
no, he has. But I'm just saying, Tarvarius Moore might be the outlier where he was developing, but he hasn't really taken that next step.
True.
So I would say the safety position is probably the closest. But I think we've seen Ward and Tartt, come out of basically grow up in a big way under Kyle Shanahan and really
100%.
come into their own under this defensive group and the way that they run defense compared to what they did when they were drafted. So I do think there's some development. I just think you can't give all the credit for development like you can with like an Emmanuel Mosley, with an Ambry Thomas, with a Diamondre Lenore, even going out and grabbing K1 Williams and helping develop him into what he is.
True.
So I think that there is, but I think nothing is more clear than the linebacker room with what you're doing with these late round picks and with the defensive linemen, what you've done with Arden Key, what you did with Kerry Hyder the year before. These guys are having career seasons playing for Chris Kasarik and this 49ers defense, and that's why the defense can consistently be good every year because they have really good coaches that can develop talent.
100%, and you still got Maurice Hurst coming back into the fold too with that D line. So, heck yes, heck to the double yes, man. I'm pumped for this week. Week 18 is going to be absolutely huge. And Cutback Crew, let us know what you thought about all of these wonderful topics right over there in the comment section below right now. Are you worried about the guys who went on the COVID list? Are you worried about Jimmy Garoppolo potentially needing surgery in the offseason? And that for you is a red flag, and he should be nowhere near the football field on Sunday at any time the rest of the year. It's trade day the rest of the way. And then the practice squad moves. Brian Hill being back in the practice squad. How do you feel about that? And then all the injury updates we talked about. You concerned about Trent Williams' elbow? Are you excited to hear about Mohammed Sanu finally being able to potentially come back on the football field? Dre Greenlaw and, Emmanuel Mosley possibly being available this weekend. Does that make you feel good inside? We want to hear from you, Cutback Crew, so make sure you're commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you're feeling about this. It's a big week in 49ers football, so I'm curious how everyone is feeling. What is your confidence level in the 49ers against this Los Angeles Rams football team? How do you think the Rams are going to approach this? Are they going to see this as inevitably that they're going to play the 49ers in the first round? So they're going to scale back. They're going to, hold back a little bit and prepare for that wild card. Or are they going all in to beat the 49ers, hoping that they can play the Saints in the first round? Do they want to get rid of the Niners a week early? I'm curious what everyone thinks.
I want to hear from you. Yeah, let's have a conversation about it. Let's discuss the playoff scenario, and let's discuss, are the Niners just playing the Rams in round one? That's who we got, and maybe we should. If that's the case, then maybe we should tank and just pray for the Saints. That way, we can say, oh, we went 1-1 in the regular season, Ant. So now there's no reason why we can't win this time around in the playoffs. Or do the Niners just need to seize their own fate, seize their own destiny, and let the chips fall where they may? And if it's the Rams again, then it's the Rams again, and we'll see them there. Let's have this conversation. Let's talk about it. But you know what, Ant? I'm happy with this episode. I'm happy with this team. I'm happy with the Cutback Crew and the faithful and all the support we've been getting. We'll catch you all on the next one. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.